CBN Sports reporter Will Dawson is joining us now to talk about the latest. So, Will, what do you think? Does the Freedom for Religion Foundation have a case here?
Hey, Ephraim. Well, one thing that I've never been confused with as a lawyer, but I do know a little bit about sports, and I think all you need is a little common sense when it comes to applying the First Amendment. Look, let's be clear. The Freedom from Religion Foundation is a tool of the enemy. When people like the Freedom from Religion Foundation talk about the separation of church and state, their view is that you have freedom to worship any way that you want to. Just do that in the privacy of your own home or the privacy of church. But our founders wrote the freedom of expression clause into the First Amendment to protect us against people like this. They assumed that faith was so intertwined in who we are and what we do that we would express it. And it does protect people like Deion Sanders. Now, I don't know if any one of his players have actually brought a complaint, but let's assume that they did. I think their case doesn't hold much water. I think what they would have to do is prove that Coach Prime is withholding playing time or a scholarship for that matter. And I just don't think that that's the case. But this is not without precedent. Back in 2022, the Supreme Court heard a case, Kennedy versus Bremerton School District. And back in 2017, Coach Kennedy would pray on the 50-yard line. He was eventually joined by some of his players, and the school district was afraid that they were going to get sued. And so they asked him to stop. Well, when he didn't, they didn't renew his contract. The Supreme Court, overwhelmingly majority vote, said that they violated his First Amendment rights. And I think that that's probably what's going to happen here. If a case is even brought against Coach Sanders, I think that he has every right as a private citizen to express prayer in the locker room.
Now, you are regularly out on college campuses interviewing players and coaches as well. It seems that more and more are proclaiming their faith. What are you hearing?
That's true. I was at the University of Kentucky last week, and I visited with Coach Mingione, who is the coach of the baseball team. He talked about the institutional support he has from the University of Kentucky, and he talks about how the values are faith first, then family, and then baseball. And then a couple of weeks ago here on News Watch, we shared about Oklahoma State women's basketball head coach J.C. Hoyt, who helped baptize 3 of her players. And it's just an amazing thing that's going on college campuses. Oh, and by the way, Colorado 2 years ago had only 1 win. Now they're 8-2, looking at a playoff bid. Coach Nick Mingione just this past year led Kentucky to their first ever College World Series. And J.C. Hoyt and the Oklahoma State women's team is now 5-0. There are cultural benefits to what's happening in these locker rooms. The coaches love these players like children. And I think the Freedom from Religion Foundation should worry about other things that's going on college campuses before they start pushing in on some of these coaches and players.
Before we let you go, let our viewers know how they can get more great sports content from CBN Sports.
Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us, follow us on Instagram. I think you've got the information there, but on Instagram, it's at CBN Sports _, and on YouTube, it's youtube.com/@CBN Sports. We've got a ton of content there that goes even more in depth than we can do in just a short period of time on News Watch here, but we appreciate you for having us here, Ephraim.
My pleasure indeed. CBN Sports reporter Will Dawson, we appreciate you joining us today.